right. So as I mentioned, we're going to be handing out our first impression roses. And if you don't follow like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, what it means is that we have done our first glance at the NFL slate. And here are the teams or the bets that have stood out. So let's start with the Joe Burrow, facing one, with the Bengals getting 7 points on the road at the Ravens. I feel like it's very easy to fall in love with Joe Burrow, especially, given that he has played on a team with a really bad defense before, and he's really kept them in it, especially with some of these games against the Ravens where he's put up historic numbers. Should be noted, the Bengals still lost because they still have an atrocious defense. Trey Henderson's also going to be out for this game, as well as T. Higgins, but Jamar Chase is back, and it feels like those two guys, it's very easy to blindly follow them, especially when you're getting 7 points, and especially when it feels like Lamar Jackson is one of those guys on operation where they're like, he's had an injury to his head, neck, shoulders, knees, and toes this year, but he's still playing. So, Jenks, 7 points. Is it too much? Do you like the Bengals in this spot?
The only thing that scares me is that it seems obvious, right? It just seems like, wait, that's the thing. That's the one thing where I'm like, 7 points with Joey B back and Jamar Chase ready to go. T. Higgins, I think, is still in concussion protocol, so maybe that's part of it as well. I think a receiver being out doesn't necessarily move the number unless you're someone like maybe a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba, someone like that. But generally, those guys don't move the numbers. I don't know. Ravens at home, Bengals aren't playing for anything. I mean, they're out of the playoff chase. Maybe that's it. But yeah, my initial lean would be you got to take the Ravens and the points here. You have to believe that they can keep it within a touchdown, right? Right?
One would think, and I understand maybe they're not playing for anything, but Joe Burrow wouldn't come back unless he thought he was ready to go and he wanted to be out there, right? Like he could have every excuse in the world to be like, hey, I'm not playing for the rest of the season. But he championed himself to get back on the field. And also it should be noted that Zach Taylor's kind of on the hot seat. So I do think that there is a lot to play for in this game. And it's one of those things where I'm going to take the bait, and I think I'm going to fall into the trap of playing the Bengals +7. It should be noted their defense is still bad, and if they do lose, it's going to be on the heels of that. But one last thing before we move on. Do you think there is any way that Joe Burrow is rusty? Because it's been a while. As much as I love Joe Burrow, and I feel even sacrilegious saying anything bad about him, but it's been a while since he's played in a game.
I mean, it's always a possibility, right? No matter how good you are. But I also think that there are very few quarterbacks in the game where if you're going to come back like it's old hat and you're not going to be rusty, he's one of the very few. I feel like coming back like you've never missed a beat is reserved for the most elite of quarterbacks. And that's why they're elite, right? Because nothing really phases them. No matter what the situation, they can miss time. They come back, you're like, oh, you didn't need the reps. That's why maybe you work out once or twice a week if you're kind of banged up, because everyone knows you're going to go out and you're going to perform. So is it a real possibility? Of course. But I feel like if there's anyone who maybe is not affected by that, Joe Burrow would be one of those guys.
Yeah, but I will say, the Bengals have been victims of slow starts in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that is on Joe Burrow, but I'm just saying, I'm listing the sabotage factors because I'm trying not to fall head over heels over this play of the Bengals +7, because it does feel like a very public play. All right, next up for me, I'm going to go with a total in this one, and this one's already sinking. So this is 40.5 at some other shops. It's 39.5 over at BetMGM right now, and for good reason. The Niners and the Browns. I feel like the defenses are going to take center stage in this one, especially from what we saw from the Niners last night against the Panthers, where even without Fred Warner, this defense is next man up, where they were biggest in the moments that counted. They were very opportunistic, and they made all these goal line stands. Again, that was the Panthers, but the Browns don't feel like a huge step up offensively to me. I know Shedeur Sanders lit it up in his first full start as an NFL quarterback, but still it was against the Raiders. This Niners defense is going to be a bigger challenge. And then on the other side of the coin, it feels like the constant for the Browns is their defense. They're second in the league, I believe, in sacks. Myles Garrett having himself an absolute season. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. And plus, we saw this from Kyle Shanahan last night. If you don't trust your quarterback, you play ball control and you give it to Christian McCaffrey, and you have long drives that eat up a bunch of clock. So I feel like I like the under in that one.
I think that's a good one, and I would take the Browns as well. Yesterday, this was Browns +7, so now we're seeing money coming in on Cleveland, and I don't think this is necessarily a Shedeur play. I know a lot of people will chalk it up to that, but this is really about the Browns defense and the fact that if Shedeur can provide just serviceable quarterback play, right, with the way Myles Garrett and that defense is playing and short week for San Francisco, I'd go with the Browns here. I like the under as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite plays upon first glance. So, Jenks, who stood out to you when you looked at the slate?
I like the Chiefs laying 3 against the Cowboys. I wonder if this is still sitting at 3 because my gut says it's probably going to get to 3.5.
3.5.
But yeah, that's just kind of how I feel like it will go. If you want to play down to 3, you can. But even then, I mean, I think you can take it up to like 5 or something like that. But here's the thing. The Cowboys got that incredible comeback win against the Eagles, but this is still a very inconsistent Cowboys team, right? They can look great 1 second and then look bad the next. It's still at 3 at that MGM. Also, remember, Kansas City needs to keep winning, right? Like they are not a shoo-in for the playoffs. So they barely escaped the Colts last week. Yeah, they're on the road, but laying 3, I think, is a really reasonable number for a Kansas City team that must keep winning if they want to make the postseason.
I feel like the Chiefs probably win, but I'm a little nervous laying the 3 because it just feels like the Chiefs are back in that mode where even when they're winning, it's going to be a close game. And maybe some of this has to do with your opinion on the Cowboys, because I do think there are little flashes of their defense being better, and that kind of scares me because we have always seen this throughout the regular season is that their passing offense is very, very good. The fact that George Pickens is putting up CeeDee Lamb numbers and they also have CeeDee Lamb, it is a great 1-2 punch. But listen, I've fallen into this trap before where I believed in the Cowboys and their upward trajectory of the offense. Then they played the Broncos and they got smoked by 20 points. I don't think that's going to be the case here, but I don't know. The Cowboys feel like one of those teams that it's very easy to fall in love with them, but maybe they'll be humbled when it's not a divisional opponent and not a game where the team gives up a 21-point lead. So I don't know. I think I'm going to stay away from that one, but I do think you're on the right track with the Chiefs. And the fact that it's still 3 over at MGM. So this is one I would play now rather than wait, because you're right. It will move. And also, we're only 2 days away, Jenks. Like, it's wild. Like, you got to get these bets in because they're on Thanksgiving.
That's the crazy thing. Oh, man, I heard the best words out of the lovely Catherine's mouth because she's, she likes the Commanders. She'll watch sports with me. But we were trying to decide what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. And we didn't know if we were going to go to like a local restaurant because we live right here in the city. It's just us. We're like, do we want to cook a meal? It's just for us. Let's figure it out. And she's like, let's just cook something ourselves. It's just me and you, hang around the house. We'll put on some football and just chill. And I was like, oh my God, yes, let's do that. That sounds amazing. I know you're going to do that in your home as well. But I didn't know. I'm like, are there Thanksgiving movies? I don't know. But yeah, I was like, wait, are we going to watch? Am I getting sucked into a Thanksgiving movie? But yeah, we're going to watch football and have Thanksgiving here. And there's something about football on Thanksgiving. It's just a tradition, right? You got to do it. But yeah, we get a full slate of games. It's going to be great.
Yeah, except for now the Lions are actually good, which is a departure from like Thanksgiving tradition. But Jenks, you buried the lead. What's also on Thanksgiving is the dog show.
Yeah.
And you covered a dog show, so you should be able to commentate this with ease while you're on the couch. So it's Thanksgiving Day parade, the dog show, then we've got football. It's going to be a great lineup.